only does that with you, you know. You're the only one who creates any kind of problem with the recording equipment.
It's just me with all electronics. Electronics don't work for me.
Let's do this before it breaks.
Welcome back to Briar, Mom and Nerd. I'm Nerd.
And I'm Mom.
So we finally finished season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones, and we took some time to think it over because it is quite the...
It was something.
Yeah, it happened.
We took a whole week, so we finished 7 and 8 last weekend, and we took a whole week. You have a cat? We took a whole week to kind of mull over the 2 seasons and think about it instead of just come out with any emotional outburst of anything. I wanted proper thought to go into it.
Yeah, I feel like I needed that time to think just to figure out what I think of what happened.
And how it went down.
Yeah.
So we had season 7.
Daenerys finally comes to Westeros.
She does come to Westeros. I think season 7 is also where we see. She does. Okay, so yes, she comes to Westeros with Jon. Yeah. And because her and Jon have started a little thing.
Yeah.
And he agrees that she's going to be his queen, and they come into Westeros, which Sansa is not excited for. And it's kind of like her trying to establish there, but you can see that she is having a lot more trouble getting that same instant love that she was getting in all of the other towns that she went to, and I think it's because there was no chains to break there.
Yeah.
They already had people that they loved. They had, already made Jon king. They had Sansa be, that's 2 in a row, I got her name right.
Yes, it is.
They had Sansa being the lady, right, in his absence, and they didn't have any chains to break. So there was no one to go, yay, you're our freedom maker.
And further down south, as you go down south, it's just a bunch of wicked people at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, it's like nothing but the slave owners from the other side.
So there was nothing there for her to do that insta love thing on.
To do what she wants to do.
I mean, she was kind to the people, but there wasn't that spectacular thing for her to show off.
Yeah.
Or thing for her to do in order for them to see who she is.
With how Westeros is ran, how she came in just felt threatening to everybody.
Well, because she came in with her giant army, she came in with her dragons, but they also knew that she was going to have that coming because they knew that she was going to be marching towards the throne, so she needed to come through there anyway. But still, is very, So they didn't just glom onto her like the other places, and I think that was something she had to kind of mull over herself. And I know Jon kept saying, just give her a chance, or just give it time. And
then the other side of the story, we have Jon trying to... Season 7 was a lot of Jon trying to build the army to fight the White Walkers.
Yeah, because he has to... They had decided they were going to prove White Walkers, because even Daenerys didn't believe.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot that happened with him getting that army in season 7. I know by the end they had who they had to fight, who would come and fight. But yeah, part of it was he had to prove White Walkers exist. He had to show them. Daenerys saw that, lost a dragon to them, so she.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was a very tense moment in that frozen lake, waiting there. Thankfully, Buddy Murphy survived.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they were able to send. What is his name? He was the blacksmith kid, the Baratheon bastard. Send him back so that he could get word, a raven, over to Daenerys, and she could come fly in with her dragons. That was great.
Yeah.
But there was just too many White Walkers even for that. But she got to see what she wasn't believing before, because their argument before was, I need you to come help me fight this dead army. And she's like, this is dumb. Like, I don't even, basically, I don't even believe you. I'll help you fight your whatevers once you say I'm your queen. But as it turned out, she was like, oh my, I was wrong. Season 7, I think, was also the death of Littlefinger.
Yes.
And that kind of surprised me because they really did pull the wool over my eyes on that one. I really thought, who did they bring in first? Oh, Arya. So I really thought Sansa was having a thing against Arya. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of this accusation type thing that they're doing,
they revealed that they were accusing Lord Baelish.
Yeah, all of a sudden Sansa just goes, and I accuse you of, and she listed it out, and she's like, and murder. How do you plead? Lord Baelish. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Which was about the look he had.
That scene was kind of an emotional scene. Seeing him begging for his life.
I didn't ever think he would be the begging type.
He was legitimately on his knees, in tears, begging for his life.
Please, I loved your mother so much. Please, I loved you so much. And Sansa is so done with every forking thing.
Yeah.
That, no, she's just had enough.
Yeah.
And she's been on to, we find that she's basically been on to his little secrets, even though I kept saying, why does she have him around after he gave her to Ramsay? Why is she keeping him around in Westeros? Well, because she already knew. I mean, she already wasn't trusting him. She was just pretending, basically.
And also, she was waiting for the right time to strike, because season 7, might have even started, season 6, when she becomes, the Lady of Westeros.
Yeah.
You see, she gets really cynical and, almost evil.
I mean,
in her being good.
Does she even smile?
Right. She's just very...
She might have smiled when she saw Arya.
Yeah.
Or Bran.
And
but other than that, she really doesn't smile anymore.
Yeah. And Jon. When she saw Jon for the first time, she smiled. I mean, she's been through a lot that would make you be this way, but right. I mean, she's just so cold-hearted and cynical, and
she just sentenced Littlefinger to death right there, just right there. No official trial, no rebuttal, no go hang him or anything like that. Right there in the hall.
She knows that he would get out of it any other way.
I know, if you give him time. Right there in the hall, though, and then his executioner.
And friggin' Arya cave in like it was just another Tuesday morning.
I know.
Just slit your throat, walk away. All right, cool.
But in a way, it's justice to have a Stark take his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then I thought for sure there is a face that she's going to keep, and we're going to see Lord Baelish later. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of disappointed that there was that she didn't use it as an advantage to try and bend the ear of Cersei or get anybody into the castle in disguise, something like that. Mm-hmm. Using the smooth talking of Lord Baelish or whatever. But So I was a little disappointed in that, but it was justice, I think, that Stark got to take him out.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. There's a lot of snarky stuff between Sansa and Daenerys.
There is, yeah.
I was reading a little bit about what other people thought, and one of them pointed out that Daenerys straight up threatened Sansa. It was kind of like a veiled threat, but it was like, when she was like, how am I going to feed all these people? And she's like, don't worry about the Unsullied. She's like, well, what about the dragons?
May I ask, how are we meant to feed the greatest army the world has ever seen? While I ensured our stores would last through winter, I didn't account for Dothraki, Unsullied, and 2 full-grown dragons. What do dragons eat, anyway?
Whatever they want.
She's like, they eat whatever they like.
Yep.
And just the way she stared at her when she said it, it was like, I was like, oh, yeah, I could see that as being a threat.
Yeah, or at least taken as one.
Yeah. And then because we watched those 2 back to back, 7 and 8, it's kind of hard to keep some of the stuff separate on what was 7 and what was 8. So if we don't have them completely separate, apologies.
They were too short to do 2 separate things.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But there was, what else did we see? We saw, there was the Battle of Bastards, was that in 7?
There was 6.
Oh, so we already talked about that
Yeah.
one. And then we had the Battle of Westeros.
Yes.
We had the Battle of Westeros, which was the Battle of the White Walkers versus all the people who weren't White Walkers.
Westeros. It was White Walkers versus Westeros, subtract King's Landing.
Yeah, because they actually took a White Walker to Cersei, showed it to Cersei.
She was like, yeah, you have my army. And then when Jaime was like, all right, doing
Let's go,
his battle
like,
plan, she was like,
go.
no, we're not. I lied.
And he was like, wait, what the fork? Well, I promised, so I'm going. And she's like, well, if you go, well, then you die. And he's like, whatever. And he went anyway.
Yep.
But that's the only time I've ever seen Cersei look scared, is when that White Walker came at her. It was like right there at her face.
Yeah.
Like she actually looked frightened for her life, and I didn't think that she could do that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think she could have that feeling. Her trial was also in there, and that's where we found out that she couldn't. Was that this one or was that 6?
Her actual trial never happened.
Right, because they said no combat, no trial by combat,
so
and that
she
pissed
just
her off.
Them, which was 6.
That was 6.
So she just burned them all.
That's right.
Yeah.
No trial by. Oh, because the Mountain is still walking around though.
Yeah.
He's still just being. See, we watched them all so close together. It's hard.
No, 7 was all preparing
for the battle.
For the battle for the White Walkers.
And then Cersei lies about sending the help.
Yeah.
So the only help they get from King's Landing is Jaime, who almost dies for it.
Yep.
Because Sansa about to take his head. But Jon and Daenerys and Arya actually all decide that.
And Bran.
Basically, Bran didn't tell on him.
Yeah.
And they just decided that, one more person is better.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he asked Brienne of Tarth if he could go under her command.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was really
nice. Yeah. They got a night together.
They did get a night together. That was great.
That was season 8 now.
It broke little Buddy Murphy's heart.
I know.
He was very sad. He was very upset.
Yes.
It was very tense though when they knew that the White Walkers were there and going to be there probably by dawn or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Them, just watching them sit around and just basically wait for what they thought was an inevitable death.
It was a great scene because you see them just being themselves with each other.
But
You
it was
know?
also, it was intense and emotional, and just, at least for me, just as a watcher.
Yeah. Just it was nice to see them, you know, all the different sides being together and showing that they're not all that different after all, you know.
Jamie knighted Brienne,
Yeah.
so she officially became a knight.
Yeah.
So I loved that after that they just were calling her Sir Brienne.
Yeah.
I'm like, yay! And she loved, oh my gosh, it was like her life dream
Yeah.
to become a knight. And so that was great. I love the fact that it was Jamie that did it.
Yeah.
Them hiding people in the crypt. Which ended up backfiring for them.
I mean, the spider
I
was
mean,
kind of saying that.
The spider did say, it's a good thing we're already in a crypt. And you were like, fuck you, spider, that was rude.
But I mean, his sarcasm, I think, thinking back on it, I think it was his sarcasm saying, I don't think we're safe down here. Like, this is not a good place to put us.
Well, basically, everybody figured they were going to die.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the theme of this night of waiting, is that everyone's going to die.
So have fun while you can.
And here we have some Westeros soldiers. Mm-hmm. They basically were arming every man, woman, and child that they possibly could to fight. They had the Unsullied, what's left of the Unsullied.
The Dothraki.
The Dothraki.
The free people.
They did have some free people, but not a lot of them.
Not a lot.
They had the 67 Mormont people, 67. Yep. But they each fight like 10 men.
Yep.
Not 67 fight like 10 men. Each man fights like 10 men.
Each of the 67 fight like 10. So it's the equivalent of 670.
I love that little girl, the Lady of Marmont, because she is a feisty little 10-year-old.
And in the battle, we saw that.
Oh my goodness, She's like, I will fight.
Yep.
But you had all of these people who, at any other moment, would have been fighting each other. Mm-hmm. But between Daenerys and Jon, they're brought together.
And yeah, and even like the random, just little people that we get, like Jamie, and I think there was a few other that were not affiliated to either side, but it was like they were just here to fight.
Yeah, the Onion Knight was out there.
Yeah.
Jamie was out there. Brienne was out there, but
she's Stark.
She is basically a Stark.
So.
Just other people, and I kept waiting for Bronn to be out there, but no, Bronn was sent to kill both Lannister brothers.
Yep.
For gold and land and all that stuff. And Tyrion was like...
Did he show up after the fight or before
the fight? No,
it
was before the fight, but he didn't fight. He just told them not to die.
That's right.
Because he said, I'm done fighting for you, Lannister.
Yeah.
Because every time he thinks he has something good, a Lannister messes it up for him. So, you know. And then... Daenerys and Jon did a really good job of putting all of these people together.
Yeah.
And Sansa couldn't see that, though.
Yeah.
She just couldn't see that. I did like the Hound and Arya seeing each other.
Oh, that was another one. The Hound just showed up.
He did. He showed up there with the Brotherhood, the eye patch guy. And, but the Hound and Arya, when they saw each other, they said mean things to each other, but it was their way of basically saying, I love you and I'm glad you're alive.
Well, before this, we see the Hound and Brienne meet again and talk about Arya. And Brienne was like, I feel bad for whoever would cross her. And he goes, that wouldn't be me.
It won't be me. It won't be me. Then they do see each other, and it's, they're being mean, but they love each other.
Yeah.
You get all the Stark kids together, all the living Stark kids together.
So
finally.
All the living Starks, period.
And this is where we get into one of my first questions, because Bran has a vision
that is backed up by Sam and his knowledge.
Yeah, because he looks at like a
Historical
Grand Maester's
knowledge.
journal
Yeah, it's like the
diary thing.
history or whatever of families, yeah.
And because of all of that, we're finding out for certain, which we were alluded to pretty much in 6, and now it's all spelled out in 7, 8.
Yeah.
That Jon Snow, his real name is
Aegar
Targaryen. He is not a bastard. Because brother Rhaegar Targaryen and what's her name? Lillian?
The sister Stark.
Sister Stark got married secretly.
Yep.
And they had him. However, we know that Rhaegar died.
Apparently,
in battle.
Rhaegar was the twin of.
Yes, because of the flashback scene, it was basically the same actor who played the other brother.
Yeah.
Rhaegar died in battle. And he was the brother everyone said was fantastic, right?
Yeah, he was the good brother.
And then
we met the bad brother. And
well, there was 3 brothers, because the dragons are named after them.
Yeah. We met one of the brothers. And he was a ass. So.
And then she died in childbirth. And she knew that Robert Baratheon would kill a baby Targaryen. So she asked her brother Neddard to take him. And I went, is he not just the best guy in the world? Because he was willing to take on the spite of his wife and everything that came along with it to raise Jon Snow as his bastard and just deal with all that other stuff.
Yeah.
To protect him for his sister.
I just have to point out, it had to be weird at some point to be like, this is my bastard son, when you know it's your sister's child. That's got to feel like awkward on a different level for Ned, too, so.
But we have Jon who tells his siblings, after he told Daenerys. Daenerys begged him not to tell anybody because she said, well, now you're the only male Targaryen left, which means you're the rightful heir. And he's like, I don't want it. Like, you can have it.
Plus their relationship.
She's his aunt.
They loved each other in a different sense, and then found out that she was his aunt. So.
But they were not going to let that part bother them. Like, it was just whatever. I mean, get with the times.
Lannisters have been doing this for years. Come on.
And then, but then it was, don't tell them because they're going to want you to take the throne. And he's like, I don't want the throne. I mean, that's the one thing Jon has been very consistent about throughout this show is he doesn't want to lead anybody.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't want to be Lord Commander. He didn't want to be king. He didn't want to be, like, he didn't want any of that. Just everyone else wants him to be that.
Because he's good at it.
He is good at it.
It's your downfall, man. Don't throw all of yourself forward.
So they have to mull all that over and get ready for this fight. And it is an epic battle.
When you can see it.
Yes, they did film it a little bit dark, but the Night King did raise the dead dragon.
Yes.
So now he's got a crazy ass dead dragon.
Spouting blue flames.
Doing his thing. You've got Jon on a dragon, Daenerys on a dragon. You've got the Dothraki. It was very scary because I thought suddenly we were just going to have a ton of Dothraki White Walkers because they were the first into battle, and all you could see, because it was at night, was their flame.
Yeah.
And because the Red Woman showed up again.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was another one who.
Melisandre, she showed up again. She blessed all of their swords to set them on fire.
Which kind of freaked them out. They were like,
they did at first, but then they liked it the way it was waving through. They go out there after the White Walkers are like, yeah! You know, as they get further away and into the dark, like, all you see is their swords on fire. And then, like, little by little, you see all these flames getting just extinguished. You're like...
This made me worried because Ghost was with them.
Oh, yeah, Ghost did run out with them. And I'm like, oh no, what are we going to have running back? And Jorah went out there with them,
Jorah went out with
them.
them.
And I was, like, really panicked over that. And I'm like, oh my god. They're just going to turn around and be a White Walker army back. And that's when I told you, this is the worst, like, one-sided battle ever, because when anybody falls, he can just pick them up for his army.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen him. We saw his commanders.
Yeah.
sitting like on the back ridge the way they do. But we didn't see him for a long time. And then the army, you just see all of a sudden Drathaki and Jorha and everybody like beating feet back.
Yep.
And I was like, oh thank God, like a lot of them died, but it wasn't just an instant Drathaki army coming back. White Walker army.
What they did really well with this one is like they showed these shots of just everybody who was sitting there watching this like oh crap. And you see this like one horse ride come back with no rider. And you get like a couple more, and then just suddenly a wave of like Drathaki
just beating
everything.
Feet. They're like, nope. And you're like, okay.
Which scares me because Drathaki just don't quit.
They don't nope out of any situation.
Yeah, no. So the fact that they retreated is terrifying.
And basically that begins the battle.
Yeah.
And the battle was pretty good. It, they really started like the humans, the Westeros, started really losing. Mm-hmm. So they were pulling back. They had like their second thing of lighting a trench.
Yeah, it was like a wall of fire.
They could not get this fucking trench lit
for anything.
For nothing.
It's like anytime somebody tried to light it, they died.
Well, plus you kind of knew the Night King was around because his storm was ablazing, even though you couldn't see him. So like it was like blowing out the thing, or you'd have somebody get killed by a White Walker or whatever. And poor Onion Knight is up there going, "Light the trench! Light the trench!
Somebody, anybody!"
And he's like furiously waving his torch, like, "Light the trench!"
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that poor Onion Knight. No one's lighting the trench. It took a dragon to light the trench.
Yep.
Gosh. And then those White Walkers, they're so smart.
They are smart.
Because they just stood there for a while, just watching the fire. And just much like they did at the lake, when they saw that they were falling into the lake, how they just all stopped and surrounded them.
We also saw how smart they were with the lake when it froze over, when they realized it froze over.
Because you had, I think it was it the Hound?
It was somebody. The Hound threw a rock and it hit
one, so he was still throwing another one.
So the eye patch dude was like, I could do that too.
He threw one, and it didn't make it, and it landed on the ice.
That was previously broken.
The White Walkers went, oh, and one of them stepped out there, and once one saw that it was safe, they all...
That's pretty much what happened here too. One fell on the fire, and they kind of noticed that gave a small path, so they just started like falling onto the fire and making a bridge, like a White Walker bridge, so some would sacrifice for the good of the many to come in. And this whole time we had the other plan was to put Bran by the face tree, because he said the Night King really wants to kill the three-eyed raven. He's been trying for years. Yeah.
So if they put Bran by the tree as bait, and then you had Theon Greyjoy was there as a protector, and he had a couple guys with him.
With his men.
Right. And so they were supposed to be protecting him from any White Walkers there. And then Jon's thought was that he would be able to... They didn't want the dragons or anything too close to Bran, because then the Night King would see it as a trap and not come in.
Yeah.
So they're trying to stay far enough away, help with the battle, but also Jon is trying to keep an eye over here at Bran so that he could be sure to be there in time.
Yeah.
So you had, like, sometimes it would do these weird hard cuts back over to Bran, who's just sitting there like...
Just bored.
And half the time I'm like, is he blind?
I don't know.
Like,
yeah.
Is he blind? Because sometimes he looks like he's looking at people, other times he's like...
He's just staring off.
He's blind, and I'm like, I realize you're the three-eyed raven, but do you have to be, like, weird? Because the three-eyed raven guy he talked to didn't look blind.
No. He was making eye contact and stuff.
I know, but Bran is
not.
He's like looking right. Stevie Wonder. I don't know what is happening over there.
He's looking right past everyone this season.
And the way he talks is like he's totally transcended everyone.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. So you got that happening over there. You got this fight happening over here. They're trying to retreat into the wall where they have more people, ready to fight. you see them trying to get Mormont, the Lady of Mormont, to hide, and she's like, I said I've got to fight, I've got to fight. And Jorah's back there like, my lady, you're the future of our house. And she's like, I said I'd fight. And he's like, okay. I'm like, what a feisty little thing.
So the White Walkers, the White Walkers made the path onto the fire and broke through. We know that at this point, we know that the White Walkers resurrected some giants, so that's fun. That's something, essentially, since we met the giants, I've been saying I don't want to see.
Oh, that is true. You've been saying, please do not have resurrected any giants.
Because that's terrifying.
We do not need giant White Walkers.
Don't need giant White Walkers.
And what busted in the door, the gate?
The giant Porkin White Walker. And Lady Mormont was just right there. And she's like, hell yeah, let's fight.
She's like, put them
up. This is when we learn she's a badass. She's like fighting the White Walkers. The giant picks her up and squeezing the life out of her.
You can hear like her bones cracking.
And she's like, I don't care, and stabbed the dude in the eye
with
the dragon glass. And was like, I'm good.
Yeah, so she died taking down a freaking giant, literally a giant White Walker.
Yeah.
We had dragon fights up in the sky because eventually we did see the Night King.
Yep.
And they were like bumped to pass on the dragons
Yeah.
and like the fire breathing, and you were like, wow, I don't think I've ever seen a dragon battle before.
I've seen dragon battles in about like Aragon, I think, did that, but it always disappoints when it comes to the screen. This one did not. This one was really chaotic and felt like what a dragon fight would feel
and
like.
you can see how cold Daenerys and Jon were being up there in the middle of his storm. And
yeah, because they were like in the clouds.
And they were like really freezing. You could see the dragons were kind of freezing. So they're trying to get in and out of it, but also trying to chase him, while also in a way pushing him towards their intended target.
Yeah.
Because they need him to land at one certain spot where they figure would be the best to get him.
We also see when they go into the clouds, it's so thick they can't see anything. They're hitting each other, running into each other, tearing each other up. That sucks.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna fight each other.
Yeah, on accident.
I know.
It was just dragon. Oh, it's my dragon.
Yeah, it was crazy. But as the battle is happening over here, Jon does go for. He goes for trying to take out all the commanders. And I do know he's also got the idea that they need to take out the Night King because that'll just kill everyone.
And at this point, he's on foot because I can't remember exactly what happened.
His dragon, I think, got speared a few times.
Yeah, he had a crash landing.
He did.
So he's on foot, gonna fight some White Walkers, gonna chew bubblegum and take some and kick ass.
And make his way to Bran.
Yeah.
Is his plan.
Yeah.
But the Night King, he eventually lands on the ground, and Daenerys has the perfect opportunity to take him out.
Yeah.
So she just tells Drago
to
burn. And he does, and I'm like, wow, man, that was easy. She
That
was
was
done.
easy,
Take him out. And they show, like, he's just on fire, and then they kind of show the battle, and you're like, how come nothing's happening to anyone? And then they come back, and he's just like the fire just goes out, and he's just like, And I'm like, what?
If this is a comedy, this seemed like he would have been like, oh, okay. Yeah.
And even Daenerys was like, wait, what the?
Yeah, like we were sure this fire was going to do it.
Like, what?
And we, later in this season, we see why they thought that dragon fire was going to be enough. So.
It should have been, but it was not.
No.
That is for sure. I think Jon gets pinned down by the White Walker dragon, actually.
Yeah.
So he's being pinned down by the White Walker dragon. You got White Walkers starting to come in on Bran. You've got Theon Greyjoy's men are starting to go down and go down and go down. The battle is still raging over there. I mean, there's
And we should
falling
say,
on both sides.
we should say, when you say John's pinned down, not literally, like he's trapped.
Well, most people should be smart enough to know that's what pinned down means.
Well, when you said it, he just had the image of like him on like.
No.
No.
We're gonna make sure. We're gonna say you're smart enough to know.
Yeah.
You have Jorah and Daenerys are actually pinned down in one area, and Jorah is doing his very best to fight off all the White Walkers because he's always said he would fight and die for her if he has to. So he's taking on. I mean, he's getting stabbed and stabbed and stabbed, and he just keeps fighting and fighting and fighting. And she's doing her best, but she's not a fighter.
No. Yeah.
Like she does not wield weapons.
Yeah.
You've got John over here being pinned down by this dragon. You've got Westeros and White Walkers are just fighting everywhere. You've got Theon Greyjoy doing his very best to keep Bran alive.
And then
you had a cool scene of Arya doing some of her moves. And then she gets found by the Hound.
Yeah.
And they're fighting together. They meet the Red Woman, who kind of gives them the idea of, you know, like, what do you tell death?
Yeah.
What do you tell death? Yeah.
So then, before all that happens, though, the Night King raises all the dead, which causes...
I think it's about the same time.
Which causes chaos in the crypt.
It does.
Because the dead Starks in the crypt start coming out as well.
Mm-hmm.
So... this gets bad.
And it was kind of cute though because you had Tyrion and Sansa who were buried at one point, kind of hiding behind a pillar thing, and they took hands and each had their knife, and they were like, "All right, well, we're just gonna be in this together."
I know, it was really cute because it was like they had this conversation too during this point where Sansa was like, "You were good to me.
You were the best husband.
You were the best husband," which is sad to say. And then Tyrion was like, "Well, that's sad because I suck." But on it, like when you look at it, like he would have been a good husband to her.
I mean, he was. He never touched her or anything. Like, so it was very cute to see them back together, willing to just kind of be back to back and kind of die together, really. So they're down there trying to figure out how to do murder their family, rebury their family, keep their family from killing live people.
Take down the dead Starks. And then like the spider came out and was like, "Hey, let's get out of here," which confused me because I was like, "How did you do anything?" Like.
Well, he was holed up with like all the kids, like
I know.
under a statue thing, like in the crack, and he's like, "Hey." I'm like, "Yep." And all that chaos is going on, and they're just trying to figure out how to survive in this crypt.
Yeah.
Plus everything else is going on. I mean, there's a lot of information coming at your eyeballs at this fight.
Your earballs.
Your earballs.
Again, I cannot stress enough. I hated this episode, how dark it was.
It was very dark, but I think I just got used to it.
Yeah, eventually you get used to it, but it's like you can't see half of what's happening, which annoys me.
So we're come to a point where the Night King, the Night King and some White Walkers are there near Bran, and Theon Greyjoy decides he's just going to give it his all. I mean, he's the last person there to protect him.
The Night King walked up and he said, "Well, this is our last chance." And Bran was like, "I wouldn't do that." And he's like, "Well, no one else is going to protect you."
Yeah, I mean, no one else is here. I'm the only one here. And
so he runs at
He does.
Yeah.
And I think I cried a little.
Yeah.
I think I cried a little before he even made it there.
Yeah, because you know what's going to happen.
I know, and I didn't want it to happen.
You're a good man. Thank you.
John gets surrounded. Jorah keeps going down.
Yep.
I mean, John is like literally surrounded. Like he, like
Yeah, like not even pinned down. He's
surrounded. Jorah's going down. Like he almost can't stand up anymore. Just trying to save Daenerys. You got Theon who is like taking his last breaths. You've got the Night King who just saunters on up to Bran like it's no problem.
Yep.
And Bran's just sitting there like, sup, dude? He goes to take his little ice stick to kill him, and out of freaking nowhere, I mean, seriously, comes in like an RKO gonna happen.
Yep.
Comes Arya going, ah!
She does her cool flippy thing around him, around the Night King.
Stabs him up here or something.
And the Night King like chokes, he's going for a choke slam.
And we all have forgotten, even though they have reminded us about 17 times during this season, her blade is Valyrian steel.
Yeah. Oh, that was a really cool thing. She went to stab him, and he grabbed her arm, and then grabbed her by the throat and just lifted her up.
So she dropped it. And I was like, oh no.
She's dead.
She's gonna die, or she is dead, something. And then she catches it with the other hand, and she just shanks that bitch right in the belly.
I think she stabbed a couple times, right?
And he just, I'm melting.
Yep, he died. And their theory was right. Once you kill him, since he essentially is patient zero of this, everybody else died.
And so, like, you see John, who's basically surrounded, just like, ah, and you see him all just, and this dragon that he is, like, looking at just goes, and I'm like, oh my, and here's Jorah, who's like, oh, thank God, you know, and all the people in the crypt are dead, and just, and you see them, they show, like, on the castle wall, everybody just falls off dead, and you're like,
yep. Oh, within the battle, we did not get to this at all, but Ghost did make it alive.
Ghost made it alive. He lost an ear.
He lost an ear, but that's it.
And so we did lose. We lost Jorah. He did die.
Yeah.
We lost
Lady
the eye
Mormont.
patch guy. We lost Lady Mormont.
Which is sad. Jorah and Lady Mormont, that was the last two of the Mormonts. So
that house
this
is gone.
family
That's
is
another
gone.
house that's gone.
Yeah. Yes, we do have the Brotherhood, the guy with the eye patch, and his priest dude. They died.
They died.
Actually, both saving Arya.
Yep.
So that was cool.
And then let's see. There was just a bunch of other people.
Yeah, a bunch of like nameless.
Dothraki and Unsullied and Grey Worm lived.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. So we see that battle. They kind of are trying to get past all of that.
Yeah.
Like they do their funeral. They're kind of trying to take their breath.
Grey Worm survived, but Greyjoy did pass.
Greyjoy passed.
They could not save him.
No.
So.
And then Melisandre, who had come into town saying that she would be dead by dawn.
Yeah. Yep. She Evil Dead
that. She just basically walked out afterward, took off her youth necklace, cracked it when she threw it down, and I think the reason why she died so quick and we could see her go to bed without it was that she cracked it.
Yeah, the magic was gone.
So she cracked it, and then she walked naked out into the desert, and then collapsed.
Into the tundra.
Or deserty tundra, whatever it was. Yeah. Snow?
Yeah. A snowy desert is a
snowy
tundra.
desert. And died.
Yep.
Which kind of, the Onion Knight was like, that's cool, but at the same time, I wish I could have done it.
Yeah, she did. Her and him had this really interesting conversation through all this, where he was like, I'm going to be the one who kills you. And she's like, that's fine, we're all dead by dawn, so. Okay.
So we have that, and then we see basically Daenerys. Okay, she's all right. We've beaten the White Walkers.
We've dealt with this. We're going.
Now it's time to go for the throne. And Sansa's like, "You're stupid. We need rest time." And Daenerys is like, "No, we don't have time for rest." No. And I think in a way Daenerys is right, because Cersei she went and got the Golden Army, and she really built up her forces and did all. And if Daenerys didn't go in, they were gonna come at her. Yeah. So Daenerys didn't really have a lot of time for just waiting around.
Yeah,
I agree with that. But then they go and try and have a meeting where, like, Daenerys wants Cersei to basically surrender. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you surrender, I won't come and, you know, kill your people.
Yeah. And
Cersei says, "Oh no, you have to surrender." This is actually a conversation through the hands.
Yeah.
You have to surrender, or they had attacked their boats coming over, and took, what is her name? The right hand lady, who used to be a slave.
Yeah.
Took her hostage.
Yeah.
And they said, either you surrender or we kill her right now.
Yeah. And she thought about it, apparently, like a second too long. Because they didn't even wait for an answer.
I know, I was like, you didn't even wait for Tyrion to, like, go back and give all that information to Daenerys.
Yeah.
Like, Tyrion walked up and was like, sister, like, come on, sister, like, let's actually end this kind of thing. You know you're gonna lose because of what she has, and it's just not gonna work for you.
I just watched what her people can actually do, so.
Right, so he's like begging up there, like, at her, and instead of being like, run along and tell your queen the terms, no, she just says, and chops that chick's head off in front of Daenerys and Grey Worm.
Yep. Which starts where I start losing the story.
Yeah, because apparently this put Daenerys in a tailspin downwards, even though they did not do a very good job at showing us that.
That was one episode. The same episode we were told that she stopped eating, drinking, or sleeping, though we don't see that. We get one shot of her with, like, some bags in her eyes, and then it cuts to the next episode where she's like, I'm gonna kill everyone.
She's talking about burning everyone down, where Tyrion is like, well, let's try and do this, and if we can get them to ring the bell, then, you know, back your people off, like, because if we do this, then they'll give up the queen, and, like, it all starts moving so fast. Like, Jaime leaves to join his sister.
So dumb. He's like, fine, my sister's evil, I get that. I found another woman I love, and I'm sleeping with her now. But screw that. I love my sister, so bye.
I know, he's like, bye, Brian, you know, I've always been there for my sister for all of these things and all this, so I'm going to go, you know, be by her side. And she's like, no, please don't. And He's like, yes, because I am that man. And I'm like, wait, why did we even make you a better person?
Yeah, his whole story arc was negated with like one line.
Yeah, so he goes back to his sister for some dumb reason. And then you had, they came in fighting. They did the best thing is they came in behind the Greyjoy boats and the Golden Army boats. Like, they came behind them. They had the dragon come in behind them, take them out. They came in from the city from behind.
Yeah.
It did that with the dragon.
Them,
and
really.
I mean, they did it right. And because you can see how they were scrambling to try and turn everything around.
Yeah.
So I was like, that was brilliant.
That was, yeah.
Brilliant fighting strategy. But then, you know, you get all the people who are like, Cersei is watching this from her tower or whatever, and she's like, oh my goodness, and they're like, you need to run away, and then she runs into Jaime, and he's like, there's this secret way to get out, and let's go over there. And Jaime, who ended up fighting, who was that guy?
It was Greyjoy.
Fighting Greyjoy, because Greyjoy was going to be
King Greyjoy, not resurrected.
Yeah, King Greyjoy, the Uncle Greyjoy.
Yeah, they're
because he was going to be with the Queen or whatever, and
he's sleeping. He has been sleeping with the King. Queen
and Jaime's like, you know, fork use. They have a fight. He kills Greyjoy, but he's also wounded. But he runs to Cersei to get her, and they go to escape secretly. And they go to take the mountain with them, but the Hound is actually running up there to meet the mountain because he also is. He has some unfinished business.
Yes.
Arya's going to assassinate Cersei.
And the Hound was like, no, live your life. Like, this is a death sentence. Don't let your vengeance for her. She's going to die anyway, so don't let your vengeance for her be the death of you. Like, just go and live. Yeah. And she was like, but you're going to die. And he's like, nah, I'm good. Go.
You know she was sad.
Yeah, she was.
What we see is Jaime and Cersei go to escape. They get crushed.
Yeah, it was like the tunnel they were in just collapsed.
So they get crushed. You got the Hound in the mountain. They're fighting each other.
This is like, and we find out you literally cannot kill the mountain.
No.
He was stabbed in the face. He was stabbed multiple times in the stomach, like speared through in the stomach, stabbed in the head.
And sometime during Cersei escaping with Jaime and doing all this, the people gave up on the Queen and started ringing the bells.
Yep.
And Tyrion is standing outside the gates going,
oh, thank God.
Thank God. But then you had Daenerys on top of her dragon who started to cry. And then was like,
Grey Worm.
No!
Well, before that, Grey Worm is like, screw this, and threw a spear anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And that started like a whole, you know.
But that was just a little tussle that could have been fine. And that actually.
Well, I think
that happened at the same time.
Well, yeah, it showed that before she starts, and I think this might her seeing. I think she saw that. And
I don't think she did, and I don't think she cared. I don't think so at all. I think she was just crying because she was mad because she wasn't going to get her vengeance or something. Because she cried the moment she heard the bells.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do that the moment they heard the bells.
No, they waited a second.
And she heard the bells, she cried, and then she just was basically no, and started burning down the whole city. Mm-hmm. Innocent people or not. Then you have him over here doing his thing because he's pissed because he wants revenge for his girl.
Yeah.
So that's why he's doing that.
Yeah.
And Jon's going, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, what the hell are you doing? Now what is happening? And Tyrion's on the outside going, what?
Why am I the hand of the Queen if, like, she's not going to listen to me?
Like, this is horrible. And here I am going, wait, what?
It makes no sense because
I was like, this is so not Daenerys Targaryen.
No, she's burning without caring. Like, man, woman, child, injured, you know, she doesn't care.
I I didn't think she cared if it was her own people that were getting it. Like, she wasn't
Yeah.
paying attention.
She did not care at this point. And that is what was so anti-her. Because, I mean, we've seen throughout the thing that she will have her little, like, fits of, like, rage. So I could see if she still, you know, even if the bell rang, she still went, forward. But the fact that she was just so nonchalantly burning carelessly, like, without a
And
thought.
here she's setting everything on fire, and that's kind of the surrounding of everything.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, you have the Hound in the mountain, they're fighting amongst the fire, and this was kind of the heartbreaking thing about how their fight ended, was the Hound knew the only way to beat him was to throw him over, so he went over with him, and they fell into,
like,
basically like a lake of fire down there and burned to death, and I'm like, oh.
I know.
I don't know, in a way it's justice because now you get burnt too, but in a way he had to die by the one thing he feared more than anything was fire.
I know.
So that was kind of sad. And, you know, eventually all the burning stopped, all the massacring stopped.
Well, before that we see this really interesting storyline with Arya trying to survive this all and trying to get out, you know, and you have her like trying to save people who end up getting slaughtered by Dothraki, or like she tries to save that little girl and they see the fire coming and she just dives to save anything, and I think that girl gets roasted. Like it shows this really cool, like there was a lot of great long shots of her running down the city and really cool like hard cuts that don't look like cuts at all, because they use that explosion, like a wall would explode, so it would be like flash of white and then black, and then you would be at like another scene following, you know, someone else or whatever. It was really cool. That is one thing I will give this season. There was cool cinematography.
When you get to the finish, you have Jon who's upset, and he talks to Tyrion who's also upset. They're like, man, she lost her mind. She can't be ruling people like that. And he agrees. Tyrion, but then he's like, but she's still my queen.
Well, before that, Tyrion gives up his hand to the queen. She's all
it's
like,
all part of it, like, because he's just done.
She's all like, now we have this. We will continue on to the rest of the world, to her Dothraki. And Tyrion was like, that didn't sound good, and was like, I'm done being hand to the queen. And she's like, that's treason, so lock them up.
When they just decide that she has lost her brain, essentially, Jon and her have a conversation, and he basically just says, you are my queen, and I'll do whatever you need, but did you have to kill all these children and stuff? And she's back to what sounding like her innocent self of, like, but it's okay, you know, like, we'll
move on.
We'll move on, and we'll break more chains and do this, and then
I think what made him make his final decision is she said, we will free everyone from Winterfell. Like, she started with Winterfell as we will free them, and knowing that that's his family. I think that's what made his final decision.
I don't think so. I think he just, I don't think they showed any reason. It didn't make any sense to me.
I think that's what made him finally make his mind up for what he does.
I don't believe that myself.
Okay.
He kills Daenerys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the final decision.
Yeah.
And basically you can sum up all the rest of the show. The dragon comes in, he doesn't kill Jon. He melts the Iron Throne, like as if he understands that's what all this fighting is about.
And the death and all that.
And he takes Daenerys and flies off with her body.
The final dragon, by the way.
The final dragon,
The other dragon dies, yeah.
Dies by the Greyjoy army or the Golden Army, one of them off the boat. Actually, Bronn might have done it. No, it was a Greyjoy that did it. And then, basically, you got, like, all these months later, you find out that Jon's been in prison, Tyrion's been in prison. All the heads of all the lands around are meeting.
The Unsullied and Dothraki just own the...
Apparently they just took over King's Landing.
Yeah.
And then, they're talking, they bring Tyrion out of jail, and they're like, well, you can't have Jon because he committed treason. Okay, so then we've got all the heads of the area, the surrounding area.
Of Westeros.
And the Dothraki and the Unsullied own King's Landing.
Yeah.
And Tyrion, as he does, finds his way talking, even though he's a prisoner, and gets them all to decide that they need to vote. Every time there's a king that goes out, basically, they need to vote on the new one. It's no longer by birth.
Yeah.
And he gets them to vote on Bran.
Yeah.
And then Jon is banished to the Night's Watch again. Arya leaves west, and Sansa is Queen of the North, and Tyrion is Hand of King Bran.
So Sansa pretty much says the North is no longer gonna be part of Westeros.
They're gonna be its own kingdom.
We're our own kingdom now. Bran was like, I don't really want to be king, but I'll take this on because I know I have to. But Tyrion, you're going to be my right hand. You're going to be the hand of the king. And Tyrion was like, honestly, I don't want to, so I'm going to pass that. Like, no, thank you. And he was like, no. This is your punishment.
To make it right.
Yep.
So here's my questions. 1, why the fork do we care then that Jon was a Targaryen if that didn't even matter? Like, you could have the same outcome without worrying about whether or not he is a Targaryen.
Yeah.
My thought is if he's a Targaryen, then they had no right to throw him in jail because that was his place and he could tell them whatever the fork he wanted.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And why did he have to go to the Night's Watch?
Yeah. My thought was, it was kind of dumb that he started where, like, his whole arc was just negated as well. Mm-hmm. Of him just trying to be done with the Night's Watch. Because that's where he ended up anyways. He should have just been banished from Westeros, go with his sister out west, mm-hmm. or whatnot. No.
And why did Daenerys have to go mad like her father, which is the one person she said she would never be like? And they made sure to tell you she's not her father throughout this whole thing.
I'm okay with the fact that she went mad. Like, maybe it's just a Targaryen thing. I just wish they showed you further in detail what
drove her mad?
If you spent a whole season after what's her name was killed, mm-hmm. And it showed her, not eating, not sleeping, and just kind of slowly losing it through a whole season. And then you get, what happened.
I think it would have been better if they had kept her as the good Targaryen.
Yeah.
And then she came in and she ruled. I mean, Jon and her could have ruled together and it would have been just fine.
Yeah.
And then, why did they pick Bran?
He was the most neutral party.
It just doesn't make...
I think that's what it was. He was the most neutral party.
I don't know. These are my questions. I'm not angry at the show.
These 2 seasons were not good.
I'm not angry. I'm just confused. I don't understand. Mm-hmm. I don't understand some things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know. Bran, I can understand why he was chosen as king, because he is the most neutral there. Like, everybody was kind of arguing over already everybody was split between what to do with Jon. So it was like everybody chose a side except for him, who was like, oh well. So he was the most neutral, so I get that. Daenerys going mad, I would have been completely okay with it if they showed a whole downward trend. If they started it a little earlier, like I said earlier, she's already been shown to have kind of fits of rage when she doesn't get her way through the whole show. So we see that she is, it is just kind of a Targaryen thing to be like that. Kind of like it's a Lannister thing to just be a general asshole. But, no, so just I would understand, and I would have enjoyed that storyline of her becoming the Mad Queen if they showed that descent more. As far as Jon Targaryen
what the heck was the point?
I don't know.
There was no point.
No.
He should have just kept being the bastard Jon Snow then.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just as good as anything else.
Yeah. I guess to have the one argument that he had with Daenerys.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
I don't know.
So dumb. But that's us. We finished Game of Thrones.
Yes.
I mean, all in all, I think it was a very good show. I'm still Team Daenerys, no matter what she did.
Yep.
And definitely still Team Tyrion. And who knew that I would turn and really love the spider?
I know. Spider was great.
I ended up loving the spider and hating Littlefinger for sure.
Yeah.
But I liked it all in all.
Yeah, it was a
pretty
great
good.
show.
And we're going to be moving on to another show. You'll get to find out what that is. I think we did a random picker, and so we'll show you that in an upcoming video. At the end of this video? You want to put it there?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. At the end of this video, we'll put the random picker in there, and then you guys can see what our next What Even Is show is all about. I'm having fun doing these.
Yeah, this is fun. We already know what the show is. It is one that's not as major as Game of Thrones, and both of us have more knowledge going into it than you had of Game of Thrones going in.
I have a lot more knowledge of it than you
So,
do.
yes.
I've seen it many times.
You've seen it many times. I've seen season 1 and just various episodes. So we won't be sitting down and watching binging seasons together. Starting from here on out, unless there's a major show like Game of Thrones, we will be doing watching on our own terms and then coming together still once a week to do these videos.
Yep, to record them. And remember, we want to take all the insight we can get from you guys, what you want us to watch, if there's a different way that you would like us to do our recaps, the good, the bad, the ugly. We want it all from you guys. Yeah. Except for you can't say that I need a bigger memory card so we can stop changing from camera to phone, because we already know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And keep an eye out for our What Even Is movie series. Yes. We have one coming out shortly, and our first one coming out shortly, actually. It's a campy horror film.
One of my favorites.
So we'll be sending that out shortly, and we would like to know what you'd like us to watch in that as well.
We have a few ideas coming out for that one as well.
And we thank you for spending time with us. We sure enjoy making this. We enjoy you guys watching this, and we love you guys so much.
Love you. Bye.
Bye, guys. All right, we were having trouble picking what our next What Even Is series should be. So we're putting Bates Motel, Z Nation, Burn Notice, and Mr. Robot into a randomizer, and we are going to let it pick for us. So here we go. Burn Notice.
All right.
That's what we got.